What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Connor, aka President CM, aka El Presidente de Nada, and I am back with another video. And yes, I'm talking about Halloween again because today I'm going to be running through my ranking of the masks from the Halloween franchise. Now, this is one that's I see people talk about a lot, at least a few of them on here, as far as where they rank on their list. And you know, of course, almost everybody who's a fan of the franchise is going to have a similar number one. But I think my list might surprise a couple people, especially because of how much I do love the franchise. You know, people's definition of loving the franchise is different. So I'm going to run through mine today. I'm going to try to make this a rather quick video, just kind of get through it. So without further ado, here is my ranking of the masks from the Halloween franchise. As you saw, starting out at number 8 is going to be Halloween Resurrection. Now, this is not only my least favorite portrayal of Michael Myers, and of course my least favorite movie of the franchise, but it's also my least favorite mask. It's something about the mask that I just don't like. It maybe the shape of it. I don't know what it is. Every time I look at this mask, it kind of makes me angry, and I don't know if it's I know it's definitely helped by my hatred of the movie, but I don't know if that's the sole reason why it ranks that low. I do know that I don't like how it looks very it kind of looks very TV-ish, if that makes sense. Like if Michael Myers had a TV show, this would be the mask they'd use. And it just looks like very like a product of the time, you know, and it's like early 2000s kind of, you know, teen look, and I just don't like it. It doesn't mesh with me, and for me it's my least favorite Myers mask. Okay, as you saw, coming in at number 7 is going to be the list, the mask that a lot of people probably thought was going to be at the way bottom of the list, where the Resurrection mask was, and it's going to be the mask from Halloween 4. It's not a good mask. It's one that I can admit has a lot of flaws. If the mask from the first 2 movies was used for this movie, I think a lot of people's perception would have changed on it. It's my second favorite of the franchise. Who knows what would have happened if the mask was better? That's my main complaint about the movie, is the mask. And it just looks funny, does it not? Like it just looks, it doesn't look natural. And not to say that, you know, all the masks should look exactly like, you know, the first 2, but you know, they tried to go a different route with it, and to me it just made it look cheap, and it made it look almost like they just went down to Party City and bought a knockoff Michael Myers mask and used it for the character, and it really hurt the movie a lot for my ranking, even though it ranks number 2 on my list and is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Yes, as you see, the next one, number 6 on my list, is going to be Halloween H20, one that's probably going to make a lot of people very angry because a lot of people love this movie. It doesn't rank super high among my Halloween movies, and like I said, I love the franchise. I do love this movie. There's things about it that I really enjoy, especially that last act. But not only did the mask they used for the most of the movie really bug me, it's just something about it. It was kind of like the same reason why I didn't like the Resurrection mask. It felt like very product of its time, felt very like if Michael Myers existed in the Scream universe. And I know a lot of people bring that up for how the movie feels, but I think it should be brought up as well for how the mask looks, because to me that's exactly what comes to mind when I see it. But the problems that they had with masks in this movie, from, you know, the KB mask, I believe it was called, I might be mistaken right now, my brain's a little off, I'm still recovering from an illness, But yeah, the between that mask and the mask that they use in the beginning, I actually liked a lot, and I found out that that's a mask that's basically like a different version of the mask that's going to appear a little bit later on this list. But it just, there's something about this mask that bugs me. I can't really get with it, and when you mix that in with the problems that they had with the masks and that terrible, god-awful CGI mask that I'm glad I'm not alone in hating, to me it just ranks pretty low on the list, and I'm not the biggest fan of the mask from H20. As you see, coming in at number 5 is going to be one that people are going to be quite angry wasn't at the bottom of my list. It's one that I actually don't hate. From these on, I actually like them, which people are going to think I'm crazy. People already think I'm crazy for liking the movie that this is featured in, but of course, if you didn't see in the picture, it's going to be the mask that was used for basically the last portion of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the one that's most associated with the movie. It's got the tear. It's basically half the mask. You see part of his face. I really like it. I dug that it was different, and if it was just like that to be different, then I might not like it as much, but because it fit the storyline so well, I do think that it made a pretty cool addition. It was a pretty cool way to go with it. Like I said, if it didn't fit the story, then it might be lower on my list where people thought it would be. But because of that, it ranks, at this point in the list. And I think, overall, I think it catches more flack than it probably should. People were wondering where they were going to see this on my list, and again, this is one that this is gonna make people pretty angry as far as Halloween fans go. This mask is kind of universally hated throughout the Halloween universe. All the people who love this movie, who love this franchise, excuse me, most of them hate this movie. But I actually love Halloween 5. It's the first one that I saw, so it means a lot to me. Got me into horror movies, made me want to make movies. But the mask is something that I really wasn't decided on until recently, and I decided that I actually kind of like it. It's a different way to go with it, and I know it's a different way to go with it, and like Halloween 4, I think that the marketing was really misleading, and why people hated the mask from those movies so much, because they used pictures that would make you assume it's going to be a similar mask that we saw in the beginning of the franchise, and then we saw these. But personally, I think this mask is the right way to go when you want to make something different. I mean, it looks like a mask to me. It looks like something that would have been made around that time. It looks like something that isn't necessarily a cheap quality mask like the one from Halloween 4. And a lot of people really hate the way it looks. A lot of people also use a picture that isn't a good representation of the mask. They use a picture from a costume that was made based on the mask. But the original mask that they used in this movie, I like that they blacked out the eyes on it. I like that it basically kind of resembled the earlier mask, but if it was like kind of mixed with the face of the person behind the mask. In this movie, Don Shanks, and it was also a mix of the designer of the mask, of his mask. It was a mold of his face as well. So it's one I'll always defend. It's one of my favorites. I wish I could get it. I've looked online everywhere for it, and the only ones I can find are just either super expensive or, have an autograph or something. I just want the plain mask with it'd be cool to get a stand for it as well that says Halloween 5. But because I love this movie so much, I think it does help its case. But I really don't hate the mask from Halloween 5 at all. I actually kind of like it, as you see, more than a lot of the other masks. As you see at the number 3 slot, we have from Rob Zombie's Halloween and the beginning of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. This kind of is grouped in with kind of all of them, because in Halloween, when you see the mask after its first introduction later on, when he uses it, it's got that damage to it, and it increases a little bit in the second one with the blood and the tears before it actually tears completely off. I think it looks awesome. I love this mask. It's a good tribute to the the beginning movies. It's one that I think was very fitting for the tone of the movies, as far as having the rips and tears and such all over it. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And like I said, in the second movie, it just made it even better for me. Before it had the tear on half the face, with those tiny holes that it had in it, and it had the blood patches, and I think it just looked so much cooler. It added on from the first movie, and there's not much for me to say about it, except for I really liked the fact that they went with a more grungy, kind of damaged look to it, and I think it paid off a lot when watching the movies. At number 2 is going to be, of course, as you saw, The Mask from Halloween 6. I used to hate this movie, but one thing I could always admit was I love The Mask, and now that I actually kind of love this movie, I actually do love this movie, despite its flaws, very blatant flaws. And The Mask is just a reflection of how I feel. It's a great mask, but there's some flaws that stop it from being the best mask in the franchise. I really like the look of it. I like how, like in the first movies, it was, the light would hit it in different ways and it would look a little bit different. I didn't like the fact that it kind of looked a little chunky, and I know that's people's complaints about not only the mask, but the look of Michael Myers in the movie. He looks a little bulky. That kind of bothered me. I liked the idea of the messed up hair, but at some points it just looked like he was trying to be an edgy 90s kid, which kind of did bother me a little bit, but it's a perfect reflection of the movie, in my opinion, of something that definitely is something that I really enjoy. Is a good callback to the original, fits the tone of the franchise pretty well, but does something different at the same time. But also has these pretty fatal flaws that stop it from being among the best. It's definitely number 2 on my list because of how close it is to the original Masks, but to me, obviously nothing's going to beat what you're about to see. Not going to spend too much time on this, as you saw what they are already. Of course, the number 1 is going to be for the mask used in the original and Halloween 2. Obviously, it's the same mask. I know it looks different. If you want me to do a ranking list at some point about, separating these two, as well as Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, I can do that. I have no problem doing that because I do think they look significantly different, but because they're the same mask, I group them in for the technicality here. And it's iconic. It set the tone for the franchise, and there's really not much I have left to say about it besides it set up the franchise that I love so much, and is a mask that is iconic and will live in horror moviegoers' minds forever. That's going to do it for the video today, guys. That's all I got for you. I'm going to be making some videos soon. I'm trying to get back on schedule after I've been sick for a couple weeks. I've been really trying to get some videos together. I have a couple videos filmed. I recently filmed a video about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 that I'm going to be hopefully releasing. I took a trip to the filming locations. I didn't take any videos or anything, but that was just a really cool experience. After kind of recovering from this illness, I'm still on the tail end of it, so it's a little tough sometimes to make videos. But I have a couple filmed. I just haven't really had the confidence to release them. This is going to be the first one you're going to be seeing out of that bunch, but definitely not the last. I have a bunch of things lined up. I'm going to be reviewing the movie Frailty. Definitely 2 people who suggested that, Donnie Morell and Ashley Grady. They suggested it so long ago on Killer Flicks. I feel so bad that I haven't gotten to it yet. But I know I can stream it now. I am not going to use the excuse of not being able to get it. But on top of that, I do have the Friday the 13th, A New Beginning 10 Points of Redemption video that is currently in the works. I've watched the movie again. I'm going to watch it another time to get a good to get in a good mindset about it, and I'll be releasing that video hopefully within the next week or 2, depending on my schedule. To be a little bit open with everybody, I do, obviously this isn't, I don't make money off of YouTube. I do this for fun. So I do have a job. I did have a job. I was actually a part of the wave of closings in the United States of all Toys R Us and Babies R Us locations. I worked at a Babies R Us. It was a job I held for well over a year, going into 2 years in September, and it was something that I thought would carry me over for a long time, something that I thought would, you know, get me through while I was trying to work on the housing situation and schooling situation for myself. But it didn't really work out that way, as a lot of you know. So I'm working on you know, enrolling myself into a 2-year college right now. I skipped out on college because I was going to make a film, and I'm still going to make a film. I just you know, I figured I would focus on that for a little while, get my mindset straight before I went back into school. I really am not a school person, so I am working on getting into a 2-year school for film right now. Other than that, I'm doing a lot of writing, trying to sell some scripts, trying to make some things happen. I'm going to be releasing short films on this channel very soon, as I announced before. I have one coming up that I'd like to film by the end of this summer. It's already written. I'm just working on casting it now, getting a crew together and getting the props that I need. It costs a lot of money to get some of the stuff that I need to film this, at least to make it the quality I want it. It's not a ton of money, but you know, I'm just gonna do my best, and we're gonna see what happens. I appreciate everybody who's been here along for the ride so far, excuse me, and definitely would appreciate if you stayed on. Let me know what you thought of today's video in the comments. Comment your ranking. Call me stupid for mine, I don't care. I personally like my ranking, despite how controversial it is. Like I said, videos are coming up very soon. Keep an eye out for them. Until next time, I have been Connor, aka President CM, aka El Presidente de Nada, and I will see you in the next video.